To ensure privacy, the story still retains the original plot, but the character names have been changed. Hope you understand. Shocking news here. Let's follow this story together. For those who are in business and trading, and we weigh dishonestly, not giving the right quantity to customers, then everyone please pay special attention. Okay. Our main character today is the soul of Mrs. Margaret, who passed away at 80 years old, living about 90 years prior to our modern time, when Helen's team followed the instructions of Mr. Arthur. Her team found the place where this spirit resides. Helen saw Mrs. Margaret sitting and swinging on a hammock, truly very chill. This hammock belongs to mortal people who stretched it out to sleep. Everyone. However, at night when it's empty, people go home and the hammock is still there. When there is no one, this lady came out to use that hammock and swing chill. Everyone. Seeing Helen's team lighting incense as well as offering food, this spirit ran over and knew that her team came to find the spirit to enlighten her and take her to the temple. During the process of enlightenment, Mrs. Margaret shared the story of her life. And now let's go find out together. During her lifetime, Mrs. Margaret had 3 siblings. Then at 29 years old, she started to get married. Getting married, she gave birth to 5 children for her husband. In her time, birthing 5 children was probably still normal. Everyone, not considered many. Back in the old days, our ancestors birthed 12, 13 people. Marrying in a strange land as well as having a family with many children, Mrs. Margaret had to try to do many different jobs. After that, she did a stable job which was small-scale trading and business. At first, Mrs. Margaret sold things that her husband found, like bamboo shoots, like simple agricultural products. After a period of trading and having customers, she started importing other goods like dry goods, rice, alcohol, and buying things from villagers in the region, then selling them back to others. Back then, Mrs. Margaret specially ordered a craftsman to make a copper scale so she could weigh goods for customers. This scale had been tampered with already. For example, if a customer bought 1 pound, in reality, they only received 0.8 or 0.7 pounds. Life still passed normally, and Mrs. Margaret traded dishonestly like that for 45 whole years. Okay, by then she was 80 years old, with a happy family, full of children and grandchildren. Anyone looking in would admire her. Everyone must pay attention to David on one thing. When we do virtuous deeds, if our blessings are still large, the karmic fruit won't ripen immediately. After the blessings run out, then at that moment, the karmic fruit will ripen. Everyone. Outsiders don't know, so looking in, we really wish, we hope to be like them. But it must be those people deep down who know that they are doing wrong and unethical things. Usually, in life, we mortal people often judge others through fleshly eyes. We judge others looking at material things to evaluate a human being. That is exactly what we modern people frequently suffer from. When gone, layer upon layer of masks will be peeled off. Okay, and down in the netherworld, we cannot argue at all. Everyone, the netherworld records have recorded all the virtuous deeds we did. Therefore, those who are doing virtuous deeds must pay attention. If the retribution hasn't been paid immediately, just wait. Time will answer everything. Don't rush to rejoice. This is what David shares truthfully. Therefore, if you are doing virtuous deeds, stop immediately. Okay? 3 inches above the head, there are spiritual beings. Those who have followed David from the early times have seen David share this already. First is the Great Watcher, second is the Demon God, and third is the Joy God. Not only those 3, there are many others, and especially those who frequently appear around us called spirits. Everyone, they all know everything. Okay. Therefore, one virtuous action has been recorded, has been witnessed by everyone. If living people don't witness it, then the dead will witness it. Therefore, everyone please remember to help David. Never do evil deeds. Don't leave it for later, because down in the netherworld, even if you argue stubbornly, no one can save or help you. Returning to the story of Mrs. Margaret, at 80 years old, when Mrs. Margaret was still selling goods, she used the copper scale to weigh goods for a customer. While weighing goods for the customer, suddenly she had a violent coughing fit. Then naturally from her mouth, all the blood poured out. Everyone, the blood poured out extremely much and could not stop. Her hand was still holding the scale. Her mouth was still spewing blood. Therefore, She kept taking the scale and slamming it into her chest like this. Everyone, slamming it into her chest like this until she fainted. When she fainted, she hit her head on the ground and died right on the spot. And there was a strange thing. The blood flowing from her mouth stuck to her hand with the scale. Okay? And the scale could not be removed from her hand at all. It kept gripping tight like this. Everyone, Mrs. Margaret died in a very painful state. Villagers and relatives saw this and tried to remove the scale, but could not remove it. Everyone. Therefore, when burying her, people buried her along with the scale, while the soul was still in the body and had not yet gone out. Okay, Mrs. Margaret still vaguely heard very loud noises outside, and she heard people saying, "This lady weighed dishonestly when alive, therefore now dying she must also carry the scale. Truly God's punishment, evil begets evil." While still drifting in the body, she heard her descendants crying very loudly. At this moment, her soul suddenly popped out of the physical body. Just popping out of the physical body, there were already two people outside dragging her down to the netherworld. Everyone, down in the netherworld, the heaviest sin of this lady was dishonest weighing, and she did it for a very long time, 45 years, and the amount of money from dishonest weighing was also extremely large. With such a large amount of money, the punishment for this lady was also very heavy, and she was cast down to prison gate number 15. When hearing about the punishments at prison gate number 15 being extremely horrible, she continuously begged the Lord of the underworld to spare her life. She used the excuse that her family had many children, life was difficult, so she had to do such things, but truly in her heart, she didn't want to. However, those excuses were not accepted, and she was led by the demons straight down to prison gate number 15 to suffer the punishment. In this prison gate number 15, she had to suffer a punishment which was being pressed down by a scale. Everyone pressed from top to bottom, until she became a flat surface. Everyone who watches those clips of hydraulic presses, this lady suffered exactly like that, okay? And just dying like that and coming back to life. Dying and coming back to life. Extremely painful. All the quantity of goods that she cheated on when alive working as a dishonest wearer were converted into money. She had to suffer a punishment which was holding hot iron coins in her mouth. Okay, enough for the amount she had appropriated. Then it would stop. During this time, this punishment lasted extremely long because the amount of money she appropriated was quite large. Finished with those two punishments, she continued to suffer a third punishment. Do you know what it is? Slicing every piece of flesh and putting it on a scale. When the demons proceeded with the flesh slicing, she continuously screamed that it was too painful and she couldn't bear it. Looking to the side, this spirit saw a very familiar person. It turned out to be a person from the same village who worked selling rice. When alive, this person, Mrs. Baker, mixed bad rice with good rice and then sold it at a high price. Everyone, the punishment of this lady selling mixed rice, Mrs. Baker, was no less terrible than Mrs. Margaret. Okay, that was what? Seeing an iron dog eating her intestines while pulling them out gradually. Okay, pulling them out gradually. Extremely horrible. When continuing to tell about the punishments down in hell, this lady cried out she wouldn't tell anymore. I am too tired now. I don't dare to tell anymore. The spirit shared with Helen's team that there are no words that can describe the horror down in hell. If she had known beforehand that hell was that terrible, she wouldn't have dared to do things like weighing dishonestly anymore. Only when directly suffering the punishments down in hell did she feel regret. However, regret was too late. So, after a long time suffering punishment in hell, this lady also completed her KPI. During the time waiting to be reincarnated, she came up to the living world. Wandering in the living world for 20 days, just lying on the hammock swinging, she met Helen's team. Helen's team enlightened her, and the spirit agreed to go to the temple to study. Believe it or ponder it. If you don't believe, watch for entertainment. And David has shared already. Never have the thought that death is the end. That is an extremely dangerous thought. Why are there still many people doing evil? Because they don't believe in cause and effect karma. They don't believe in spirituality. The videos that David shares are exactly a wake-up call and notification from down in hell. Really hope that those we trust will give up in virtuous deeds. As for those of us who are doing in virtuous deeds, hope everyone rethinks. Don't wait until it is too late to regret. And never fall into a case like this, spirit, Mrs. Margaret. When regret comes, it is not in time anymore. Everyone. Finally, wishing everyone always be diligent in practice. Okay.